Oh my gosh. The last 10 people in the room. You can come closer if you want. All right. This was a bit of a last minute talk. I was just chatting with Joel when we decided, oh, this would kind of make sense to talk about. So let me talk to you about DAOstar. First off, hi folks, I'm Josh. I'm a mathematician and computer scientist at Oxford and CMU. I'm also a founder of Metagov, and what I'll share with you soon is also DAOstar. So, the future of DAOs is fragile. Use cases are pretty mature. Business models are still being tested, and 4 years of competition and experimentation have led to fragmentation and uncertainty in this ecosystem. DAOs are far, far from challenging the Death Stars of Web 2. That's why we've assembled an alliance of over 80+ key organizations in the DAO ecosystem to build new interoperable standards for the DAO ecosystem. This group of DAO builders and developers, including folks like Moloch DAO House, Gnosis, Aragon, Compound, Snapshot, OpenZeppelin, Gitcoin, and many others, have been working intensely over the past year to build the DAO standard. EIP 4824/DAOIP2, data standards for DAOs. So for developers, DAOstar specifies something called a DAO URI. If you're familiar with token URI, it operates very similarly. What it does is allows DAOs to publish off-chain metadata. Almost all DAOs already publish data in all sorts of different ways, especially off-chain, for many different reasons. And this standard defines a consistent way of doing that following existing best practices. So for DAOs, upgrading to DAOstar means that your DAOs will be easier to discover through aggregators like DeepDAO, Masari, or Etherscan, more legible to potential and current members, and ultimately more compatible with DAO tooling like Snapshot, Tally, or Commonwealth. You can see it's already live. There are actually thousands of DAOs who have already adopted the standard. Unlock DAO is one as part of a new push to kind of onboard DAOs in Optimism. And you can see, of course, all the data sort of flowing back and forth. It's quite wonderful. So partly the rationale for this adoption is we've been working very closely with existing DAO frameworks, many who are part of authoring the sort of core standard, to deploy DAOstar contracts automatically when a new DAO is deployed as part of any of these existing frameworks. So many DAOs have deployed the standard without even realizing it because it's just part of the invisible infrastructure now of DAOs. So this is already sort of fully integrated to Moloch, Aragon, DAO, which is on Cosmos, Kali, Snapshot X. And we're working on integrations with Safe and Governor. Upgrading, suppose you already have a DAO, upgrading is actually really easy. We built in a lot of different infrastructure to kind of support migrations. Actually, it's not even a migration or an actual upgrade pattern. You can sort of hit a transaction with a registration factory with your DAO to upgrade to DAOstar. Remember, it's just about having an on-chain link to a DAO URI. We've also piloting work with EAS to allow you to publish DAO URIs to a EAS attestation, and also working with ENS so that you can do this through a TXT verification, though that's still kind of under development. But what are the actual use cases? And part of the reason I wanted to discuss it here and share this with you guys is there's actually a lot of work here that is very relevant to reputation and, let's say, the idea of Web3 CVs. So EIP 4824 is kind of like an API for DAOs. We've recently written a standard in partnership with many folks, including folks at Disco, Govern, Avenue, and others, called DAOIP3 attestations for DAOs. And what does attestations for DAOs do? It's actually extremely simple. All it's saying is that there's already an indexing pattern for data from DAOs through DAO URI. we're just asking DAOs to declare an additional set of trusted issuers. And if you're familiar with that term, it's because it's drawn directly and built on top of the W3C VC standard. And what we're doing is issuing these trusted issuers through DAO URI, so you can have a sort of well-built and already sort of operational mechanism for actually importing a lot of attestations. So many of you or others, companies are building attestation frameworks, or frameworks for sort of transferring reputation around. You're building your own stacks, and this is already an operational stack through which we can flow some of these reputation signals. There's already been a pilot for this, which is actually funded by the European Union's Next Generation Internet program. So this was where we took our standard, integrated with some existing infrastructure that the EU already has. So it's the EU, obviously not part of Web3. And built a sort of simple reputation / contribution explorer using this standard. So it's already flowing through a lot of pipes that are not necessarily traditional Web3. And there's now an additional pilot being developed, funded by Optimism, and being developed with EAS, Disco, Comra, Govern, Avenue, the EU's on-chain network, and many others to pilot this. And part of the rationale for this is not only this is going to be useful for Web3 profiles and reputation, but actually there are a lot of other kinds of infrastructure that you can have once you have a successful attestation framework or reputation framework. And I'll name two. One is the Grants Common app that we've been building with Gitcoin, Dfinity, some of the other big grant programs, Uniswap, Ethereum. I'll share with that later. There'll be like another event, I think 2 days from now, where I'll sort of announce some of that work. Hopefully stick around for that. But in this case, to just give you an example around regulatory interoperability. So this is an interface we presented to actually a number of different lawmakers now. But this is an effort to basically not only have reputation for individuals, but reputation and in particular regulatory compliance and benefits for DAOs themselves. So obviously it's not just individuals that have reputation, it's also entities, right? And this is basically a pilot interface that we're developing with a number of jurisdictions, including New Hampshire, Wyoming, Malta, to develop a kind of a simple interface, reporting standard, so that DAOs can report information and attestations. And this goes beyond there's a lot of different kind of complexity in this set of applications. But reporting reputation and attestations to lawmakers and to regulatory bodies with lots of sort of important outcomes, like actually getting things like limited liability, which is pretty important for most DAOs. Anyways, so this is just pointing out that when we talk about reputation, this is actually part of a bigger stack of applications that reputation can unlock. And these are things we're doing as part of a large group of folks, including the Ethereum Foundation, Optimism, the EU, Radical, Gnosis, Aragon, Metacar Ventures, Near, Gitcoin, and more. Members of DAOstar, which is the standards body for DAOs. One sort of invitation here, maybe the thing that I hope to accomplish the most, is many of you here, and I heard some pretty awesome presentations earlier, are already building companies or projects. And this is an open invitation. We have regular working groups that meet every week. We build together. Obviously, to build a standard, you need to be able to work together. So if you are interested in building as part of a community, authoring or contributing standards and specifications that, let's face it, you need to write anyways, I would invite you to come join DAOstar or just message me at josh@daostar.org. If you're interested in learning more, just check out the website. Everything we built, so just to be clear, DAOstar is a 100% nonprofit, no token, public goods project, completely funded by grants and donations. And we're here to work with you and to support this ecosystem. And with that, thank you.